Alright, this is Fullest House, 1st edition, where we are playing Vaettiheim. It is turn 31, and I actually remember this time we have a throne battle, and hopefully that's it. Well, and of course a grab bag of other stuff, so we get our skeleton research, and we're moving on towards Alteration 7. And then this is Raga claiming one of their many thrones, and we're still doing a little bit of arcane probing, which of course is not paying off. A lot of this is in Bogarus's lands, and we did see some mages moving around and site searching. I think a lot of them were searching at like level 1 or 2, so, was kind of hoping that, maybe they hadn't found some sites, but it looks like they found at least all the arcane sites that were on offer. So that'll probably be the last arcane probing round for now, at least, until we get some more territory. And then, we're twice warning a bunch of our mages, which we discussed. Our blood hunters do a little bit better this turn, so that's nice. And then, we have some battles that we catch. So let's take a look. This is Utgard fighting some independents, pinging some independents. This looks like a throne. Not sure. Actually, I think this is the throne that Satis was going after. So, perhaps there will be a bump. That's always exciting. I could always reach out to these players and let them know. But, who doesn't love a bit of spectacle? Speaking of spectacle, let's see how our throne battle goes. We discussed our plan in great detail, and we've taken a look at this throne a couple of times. Really the only question is, okay, arrow fend, that actually is a bit of a problem because we have a bunch of crossbowmen. So that element of our plan is now useless. Let's see what else. Okay, so it looks like the Titan isn't really, doing anything useful yet. Just like some sort of thugging stuff. I've never actually seen like the Independents cast Arrowfen before, so that's a new one. I don't know if it was triggered, if they were always going to do that, or if it's because, we brought a ton of archers or crossbowmen. But the Rimvetti are pretty dangerous, right? We're putting guys to sleep. Now, a lot of these guys... the undead, right, they are super cold resistant, but the ethereal won't matter because we have the magic weapons. And then the militia though, this is a problem, right? Because didn't really give enough body. Oh boy, now the Titan's coming in. Oh no, this is gonna be bloody. Yeah, we lose a mage. We do at least have some low level evocation, but you can see the Arrowfend is such a big deal because normally I think these are just militia. We would absolutely crush these militia with our crossbowmen. Now, our Rimvetti are doing as Rimvetti do. We have fire resistance on the Bless, so we're not really going to care too much. We have poison resistance on the Bless too. So the fire snakes aren't really so much of an issue, and thank heavens some of our Rimvetti decided to hang around because they definitely can deal with this Titan. So we do at least lose one mage, probably, possibly a few other mages, and maybe some Rimvetti, and probably, some crossbowmen got eaten by that Titan, but, overall, could have gone worse. Like I said, sometimes the thrones can surprise you. So we lose 2 mages. That is a bit sad, but we have plenty of the Vetti mages. We can recruit them out of any fort. They're not slow to recruit. We only lose 2 Rimvetti, highlighting these guys are really good. And while I think the Bless is solid, I wouldn't even say I think just the Rimvetti are good. Period. And then we don't end up losing too many crossbowmen. There are a few retreats, which is okay. Just some random commander retreated and survived, which is nice. So it's fine. A confident victory, at least for anybody looking just at the battle report. And then this is Kalim's coming out because Marignon is trying to go for that Dominion kill where you remove all candles for the faction, but and probably he must be getting somewhat close because this is going to be a bit rough for Kalim because he's going to be pretty outnumbered and pretty unlikely to snipe the commanders with the Thunderstrike. He may get a few commanders, but probably not going to kill the Titan. That said, Yetis are dangerous, right? Bakamona are dangerous, and Thunderstrike is going to kill guys. Also looks like a lot of Sulfur Cloud coming out from someone. Could be Marignon. I'm not actually sure. We should hang on. Really should turn on team colored squares, before I start these turns. It's unfortunately something you have to set every time you boot the Dominion's client. There's some whites in here as well, which are pretty nasty. There's not really enough of them. Obviously, Kalim was down to their only fort. Considering that this is their only fort, I'd say this is a pretty good sally. There's a retreat from one of Marignon's squads, although it does look like the infantry was split out into at least 2 different squads, which is good. I do approve of that. Marignon comes away with it, but not without pain. And I think now probably they'll go in, although, yeah, I think most of the mages survived, although there's not like that many mages left. But overall, like, Calum just doesn't really have too much left in the way of numbers. And Marignon, yeah, loses 115 units. These swordsmen, I think, are, yeah, completely average in terms of gold cost. They are very high in resource cost, but Marignon gets citadels, and so as long as their fort placement has been good, they'll actually be able to pump these guys out fairly quickly, and like, yeah, pretty low recruitment point cost as well. But still, I mean, you know, losing 80 of them, like, that does hurt. This army is obviously significantly reduced, and they probably won't be able to go after Pangea immediately, so this could have some knock-on effects, like, for our coming war. But yeah, I would expect to see a storm there fairly soon, or maybe, no, it doesn't look like he gets the Dom kill, because there's no elimination message for Calum. And then speaking of fort battles, like, yeah, I think this is, okay, he's just poking in to see what's in here. And like, yeah, not too much left, right? We've seen this force fight a couple of times. I don't even think the fort has ever been unlocked, so if it was for like one turn. So there hasn't really been a chance to do any recruiting or anything, so not too much in there. But Xibalba has been doing, you know, a good job of holding that force off. And then let's see, burn some Fairy Court. That's fine. We lose 20 province income. That's a bit painful. That feels like Misfortune 3. Then we find some Earth Gems. Not too many, but we don't actually have an Earth income yet. So we will take that. And then we foresee a major event. The People's Deathmatch. So yeah, an arena battle. We are not running any of the mods, so we'll see. I haven't at all participated in any arenas yet. This is the one where you can't do any spell casting, and we probably still won't participate in this one. I don't feel like we have really, you know, the Veti are decent, but compared to some of the chassis out there, and just in pure melee, I don't think so. So yeah, I'll catch you guys after the cut. Alright, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. I suppose first things first, we are moving our army out immediately. So, you know, they should be ready to go in 2 turns here. Like in 3 turns, we could launch an attack with our army. Like, we'll see if we actually do, but we have that option available to us. We're continuing to push raiders like deep into Pangea's territory. You know, I was going to let Marignon take Pangea's capital, but I am starting to get a little concerned that, you know, this is taking a long time. And, you know, if we're going to be attacking Pangea, they're going to be coming after us, leaving the capital unlocked. You know, we'll allow them to recruit. It'll lengthen the war. So I might reach out to Marignon again. I think the plan is still right. I mean, our army is down here. We want to take this capital. We want to take this throne. So, like, we're going to do all that stuff first. It is really unfortunate. Like, it's kind of, if Pangea would do a little bit of raiding, that would make this attack, you know, much easier for me diplomatically, because then I could, you know, just kind of couch it as attacking one person, even though realistically we're probably just going to roll it into an attack on, you know, Arcocephaly immediately afterwards. But as it stands, like, I'll probably, you know, have to attack both players, which is not the end of the world. Like, yeah, I do think we can handle this 2v1 without too much difficulty, famous last words. And I also think that Arcocephaly is probably, you know, they probably recognize that they're in kind of a rough place, and that, like, yeah, I'm not sure, like, how put out they'll be, right? If I, especially too, you know, I'll be like, hey, you know, I'm going to try to take Abyssia because this clearly isn't working out, you know, especially we can see that there's a, you know, major battle brewing here. Arcocephaly has a big stack, and, you know, they definitely know about the Pangean stack here, but Pangea has moved another stack up, so depending on Arcocephaly's scouting, they may or may not know that they're about to have to face, like, double, roughly, of what they see. So I think we're about to see, like, Arcocephaly lose their main army, right? In which case, like, me coming in and being like, look, I need to connect Abyssia to my main territory, but, like, my attacks are focused on Pangea, which is true for the moment. And I expect that, like, you know, I'm probably not the only person watching this, and Arcocephaly is small enough that if they do lose this fight, then, you know, they're probably going to have other neighbors. Like, obviously, like, Raga is already well set up to attack them. Although they did have a non-aggression pact, I guess, in theory. You know, we've talked about that. But Arcocephaly probably has other neighbors, right? Certainly at least Gath. So they just won't really be in a position to do much about this, and I don't think they'll really care because, you know, they'll have had their shot and it didn't work out, and, you know, now I'm coming in to have my shot. Speaking of, pretty much the same stuff, right? Wolf Brother groups, and like our army has not changed all that much. We are leaving a few mages behind to do some site searching. We're bringing in like 1 or 2 mages. We'll probably collect a few more mages. Maybe bring in some of our twice-born mages as white mages once they die. We are moving some of those out this turn. 4 of them. So this will turn into like 2 different raiding groups, which are also stealthy. So we'll move them in to help take some of the load off of our Wolf Brothers. But once they die and come back as white mages, we've mostly focused on twice spawning our Death 2s, hopefully some of which will turn into Death 3s. And they can spam out skeletons, so that'll kind of be an addition. And then of course the other big thing is we're hoping to do a little bit of Foul Vapors play, so we'll see. Haven't fully planned that one out yet. Mostly we just need to avoid using it when our crossbowmen are present. We do have poison resistance on the Bless, so our Rimvetti can be part of that kind of attack. Otherwise, same point buffing stuff that we've had before. Not a lot of troop recruitment, just the Rimvetti in the capital and a few more crossbowmen. We're definitely getting to that point in the game where they're going to drop off in usefulness, especially if we're trying to do Foul Vapors plays. But I do think like the crossbowmen are going to be decently effective against both of these armies that we're seeing here. And I don't think, actually Archocephaly might have some air. I know Early Age has plenty of air. I don't think they really retain it so much in the Late Age, but yeah, Pangea doesn't really have much in the way of air, so it's a little harder for them to counter, crossbow or archer plays. However, we're thinking about Raga long term potentially. I mean, Gath is another option, and I believe both of those nations, right, get enough air access that they can pretty much completely shut off our crossbowmen. So we probably won't be recruiting too many more crossbowmen, but we'll see. Famous last words. We are doing, a little bit of recruitment. I think these are just, the Berserkers, again, just to, throw them on some bodyguards, to mages that we leave here. I don't really I think, leaving undefended forts on the border is not great. So, while we have a non-aggression pact with both of these players, we're going to show a little respect and, leave, enough Berserkers and enough mages in there within a few turns, hopefully, that, they'll take a look at that fort and be like, nah, non-aggression pact with Vaettiheim sounds fine. We'll leave things, how they are. Otherwise, a variety of movement, trying to get patrol groups set up, site searching, all that kind of nonsense. We did change the research a little bit. We're going up to Thaumaturgy 2, mostly actually, I think, for scrying. Scrying pool is there, just so that we have the option for a little more scouting, especially once we've sieged forts. It's useful to be able to look inside. We don't mind having access to Mind Burn either. I don't think the magic resistance on those Zayedins were very good, and while we're not a great astral power, we have enough astral that we can certainly put together a Mind Burn communion that could cause some problems for them if they're, say, fighting a million bugs. Conjuration level 2, eventually we do want to go down Conjuration. I've talked about Bishop Fish. I didn't realize they're all the way down at level 6. So it might be a little while before we get them, but we do want some patrollers, and so Pack of Wolves, right? We have a lot of nature gems. We don't want to spam this out too much because we do still kind of want to get Mother Oak up. Not that that's a requirement. And we've talked about that. The Mother Oak situation, perhaps a mistake, and I feel like there's a decent chance we're going to be beaten to it. But anyway, want to try to get some patrollers up, Pack of Wolves. Eventually we do want to go down Conjuration. So, we're going to get it really quickly, so I don't mind that. Construction 5 and 6, right, that's, again, tied to Mother Oak. We're going to need some boosters to actually be able to cast it. And, this is definitely something you could fix by designing a better Pretender. And I don't think construction, 5 and 6 is going to be super useful to us until we get out Illwinter and start bringing in Neefle Giants, but that's still a pretty long ways off. And, we don't really have very many, maybe none. I think maybe we have one fire mage running around, right, from Independence, but we don't have any fire, right? And we don't have any fire income, and we haven't really been able to search for fire. So lanterns at levels in construction 6, not actually that useful for us. And again, we don't really have great thug chassis until we get our blood economy up, and we're powerful enough that we can put up Illwinter and not have all of our neighbors, dogpile us in anger. And we're not there yet. So anyway, this is questionable, something. It's a big game, and it'll be useful eventually. But then we're back to things that are more useful for us. Alteration level 7 will be nice. 4 mass protection, and then we've talked about the blood stuff. The other thing we get at 7 is Fog Warriors, which normally is not something that's on the table for us, but the throne is actually the Throne of Air. So this is pretty lucky for us, right? We don't really have any air access. These guys are air 2. That's certainly not enough to cast Fog Warriors, right, without a little bit of juggling. But it's definitely enough to get us started. Like, we will be able to do some work and have these guys cast Fog Warriors for us. So yeah, a very lucky find. This is a good throne for us to have. Of course, we can't actually quite claim it yet because we were having, here's our prophet moving into this province. He was trying to, we have that fertility cult. We were hoping to get another dryad. We don't really have any of our dominion here yet. It's really been taking a while. We kind of have been having dominion problems like all game. I'm hoping this throne, will help push our dominion more effectively. We do have a decent number of thrones in enemy hands, kind of on our board. Like, I didn't do a great job of actually securing thrones. Although in fairness, like a lot of these thrones, like this throne is actually in Marignon's cap circle, right? So unless we were going to eat Marignon, we were never going to get that throne. This throne, it's kind of difficult for us with the mountain pass situation. And then I think, Satis is like here. So it's like, could we have like reached around through this province? Like, yeah, definitely, getting beaten to this forest by Marignon wasn't good. And then maybe we could have gone in this cave and, anyway. This is a throne that like we could have gotten, but didn't. And then this throne, Ray was on the border. We had to eat Bogaroos first, right, to get access to it. So I feel like perhaps a little unfair to say that, we haven't done a good job of getting thrones, but we have not ended up with a lot of thrones in our hands. And so we're getting quite a bit of dominion push from like enemy dominion on a lot of places. And we don't have very good priests. We don't have very high level priests. Anyway, all this to say that, it hasn't gone great over here with the Dominion. We're still going to try to preach it up, right, with the priests that we have left, but we're going to send our prophet over immediately to claim this, because we can't actually recruit the mages, and we don't get this, 2 air gems per turn until we do claim it. But yeah, that's the throne situation. And then in terms of the wider world, we're going to try to get, and we still have this raider group, not really sure what to do with him. He's kind of far away to make it all the way up to this conflict. We definitely don't want to get him patrolled out because that would be a diplomatic incident. We may eventually like just leave him down here for like someday Raga. I would like to get eyes right on this conflict and kind of see like what Patal is doing and what Gath has been doing. It does look like Gath, right, is closing down on this, and probably there will be another large battle here relatively soon. I think we've seen kind of all we need to see here. Like, Xibalba is not long for this world. Keeping eyes on the Man-Agartha conflict, of course. I think that, is going to be winding down soon. Trying to keep an eye on the Utgard-Raga border to see potentially, like, when they start fighting. Also pushing some scouts like along the coast. Again, like this big lake and kind of this area over here we don't know so much about. So I'd like to see like kind of like how Atlantis is doing. It looks like, they probably don't have a ton of the northern coast here. And then also, kind of get eyes on Pythium and see what they're up to. And then we're also moving into Joman's territory to take a look at that. And then we want to take a look at like this border between Marignon and the Merfolk fellows. So yeah, I think that more or less covers turn 31. Alright, this is Fullest House, 1st edition, where we are playing Vaettiheim. It is turn 32. I think this is going to be another quiet one. And I haven't jinxed myself yet, although it does look like we're going to get to catch that battle that we were expecting between Pangea and Arco. And then we complete a bunch of low-level research. Let's see, Thaumaturgy 2, and then a little bit of Conjuration, and then we're moving on to Construction. A little more Twiceborn. I know I said I wasn't going to do any more arcane probing, but this is on top of the Throne Province, which of course doesn't have any sites. Still worth it though, I think. Speaking of magic sites, we have a bunch of searches, and we find 2 sites. Yeah, this is on top of the throne, so that's cool. Dying Forest is 2 gems, and that's what's causing the death scales. And then I don't actually know Tinderwood Forest, so I'll have to take a look at that. And we have 2 blood hunting groups going. Let's see, I think this is... I'm not sure. I'll have to take a look and, see which group is which. We've got some level 2s hunting in one place, although they don't have the items that are going to assist them yet. And then we have our level 1s hunting in the other place. And I kind of just want to compare, like how much of a difference does that make? Because those provinces are roughly the same size, although we don't really have patrollers up in one yet. Anyway, it's basically, we will see a difference, hopefully. But at this point, we haven't controlled enough variables. Still, we're getting a decent amount more slaves than we were before, so that is good for our blood magic. And then, let's take a look at this battle. Here's Arcocephaly. Again, no mage use, or a little bit of mage use. Okay, so I imagine that this is going to be, some body ethereal, and actually, pretty well spaced out. So I take back what I said. Definitely some mage use, and probably focused on putting body ethereal on these elephants, which is a pretty standard strategy, I think, for Arcocephaly. We actually have another mage back here, no gems. So yeah, not sure what this guy's going to be doing, but relatively light mage commitment, I think, considering kind of how dire this situation is. Arcocephaly is pretty small at this point, so they kind of need to win this battle, I feel like. Of course, I think they only have their capital, so it's going to be difficult for them to amass a lot of mages at this point in the game with that little infrastructure. And I don't think this is going to work out for them. It is in a cave. Abyssea's capital spawn in a cave. Oh, actually, interesting. Okay, so it's just province defense. And yeah, I was expecting Pangea to patrol. They actually, they had that secondary force moving in, and there's a decent chance that Arcocephaly, didn't know about. So, I think they were going to heavily outnumber them. But I feel like this Pangean player is pretty cautious, and, this does allow him to see the army, right? See exactly what formation it's in and exactly what he's going to be going up against. This is enough province defense that, you are losing some gold here, but yeah, so not actually as interesting of a fight as I thought it was going to be. And there goes the body ethereal, and it looks like this guy in the back here is just doing some more body ethereal. So yeah, pretty much what I expected. And Arco will probably come away with that. Yeah, with almost no losses. He loses a few Bakemono show, but no big deal there. And then I think this is Utgard retaking their province. No, this is something else. Oh, this is the throne that Utgard and Satis had pinged. So yeah, the wizard throne. So I think they're going to come away with this. Looks like they're sending in some mercenaries. Which, yep, using mercenaries, to reduce your own casualties, I think is always a decent use of gold. And Skelly spam, again, with his giants out in front. But, it looks like he's kind of using the Skelly spam to, fill in, right? Yeah, because the giants are size 4, the skeletons are size 2, so the skeletons can actually, filter through the giants, which is pretty cool, right? And then end up making, full squares, helping somewhat, the attack density issue that the giants have. So, actually having, and it keeps the Skelly spammers, nice and safe. So, initially I thought having the giants out in front was kind of a mistake, but I think that was just my, lack of familiarity with those nations. So yeah, I think they come away with that with, very few losses, right? They lose, the mercenary heavy cavalry, no big deal, and they lose 1 spearman, very clean. Not that this was a super dangerous throne, but still, only losing 1 unit of yours for a throne, that is pretty good. And then this looks like it's going to be an assault on man's capital by Agartha. So yeah, we've seen this Agarthan force. Let's see, yeah, okay, man does have some stuff in here. So he's been doing, some desperation summoning with air gems, but I think this is a decent use of air gems. Wyverns and griffins are quite dangerous. And he's got a decent number of mages in here, a little low on the chaff, but that's normal, when you're down to just your capital and getting assaulted. No gems really, maybe just doesn't have the research to support any gem spells. Maybe he is out of gems since, he's been summoning. And he does have an earth snake here as his pretender. Kind of a sad earth snake, only earth 2. I think it might even come with that by default, or he's, given it 1 path, so absolutely no bless here whatsoever. A full scales build, very bold, I think, although I don't really know if Late Age Man can support a bless. Yeah, and there goes some of the griffins, just 1 weirdly, or no, a couple. I managed to get some of them as ethereal. That is pretty nice. Ooh, I don't know what that was. Oh, it was probably one of those skeleton horses that explode. Wow, they're pretty fast. Yeah, one of these guys. Not a lot of magic weapons, I think, on Agartha's side. So the ethereal griffins, that's a second wave of griffins, but still could be a bit problematic. Might get some casualties from those. I kind of want to see this horse explode just to verify that, yes, they do work as I expect, and that is where that explosion is coming from. I wonder if he made one of those horses fly, right? Because this guy came in much later than that other horse. Might actually take a quick look. And of course, these horses seem kind of they have decent protection. I don't know how many hit points. Yeah, 12 hit points. Okay, so they're not that tanky. It's just, man doesn't have a whole lot here. And then mostly banishment, it looks like, coming from man's mages, which is relevant, but probably not really gonna, that horse just exploded. So that is where that explosion came from. I'm not sure how the other one got in so quickly. And then, here comes Agartha's Sacreds. Wow, this combat speed is absolutely miserable. Agartha is never fast. That's not their thing, but combat speed of 5 is pretty low. And I will say that this earth snake has been made ethereal. And do we have magic weapons on the bless? No, it doesn't look like it, right? Yeah, no magic weapons on the Bless, no magic weapons, just in general for these guys. So, like, the Ethereal Earth Snake could be a big problem. And if they don't get rid of these wall archers, these are crossbows. Now, I mean, the crossbowmen are going to be distracted by the skeletons quite a bit, but still, like, this Earth Snake could turn into a bit of a problem, although man may just HP route. And it does look like they are managing to get enough hits through. Yeah, this Earth Snake, his protection is not that great. He does have Iron Skin and Temper Flesh on, so like he's doing normal Earth Snake things, but with no Bless to assist him, and not actually very high Earth pathing, you do get some additional protection if you're a high-level Earth Mage. His protection is actually in a place where Agartha's Sacreds can damage him, and while the Ethereal helps, right, he's still alive. He doesn't have any regeneration. So they will be able to take him down, although in the Earth Snakes, they're not very killy, right? They just have the one attack, so I don't actually think it's going to cost Agartha. Well, I don't know. Hard to say. Depends on how well the wall archers end up doing. But yeah, you can see that the Earth Snake is holding on for quite a while, and it always takes a second to get rid of the wall archers. But I don't think there's any doubt about where that's going. So yeah, Agartha gets the win. Of course, they kill everything. You can see, the Earth Serpent, 67 kills, the Earth Serpent, 26 kills, the Bishops, 67, but they're just banishing undead chaff, which does matter for the battle, but, it's kind of inflates how important they look. And then, 17 blind fighters, Agartha's Sacreds are lost, which is significant, but worth a capital. I think these light crossbowmen, they're just 10 gold, so that's not too bad, losing 28 of them. Does lose some mages, sadly. These are just dudes in robes. Ooh, man, this guy's 295 gold. That does hurt a bit. These guys at least only 135, so, not great to lose those, but, when you have the wall archers and dudes in robes, things happen. So, yeah, I'm sure Agartha is, happy to have that finished off and a decent defense from man. And it does look like that is it for man. And then, of course, we have some unexpected events. Let's see. Okay, Blasphemous Cult. That could be bad. This feels like horrors. Anyway, we'll have to keep an eye on this. We do have someone here preaching, but we may want to summon a Bishop Fish sooner rather than later. Sometimes you can get rid of these cults if you just raise your Dominion high enough. Speaking of cults, okay, Fertility Cult has taken root. Dang it. We were trying to preach this away, but, it was taking a while. We just pulled our prophet out. We weren't able to claim the throne immediately because our prophet was trying to deal with this, and it didn't work out for us. Oh well, so we have a fertility cult here now. And then, we lose quite a bit of income. This is definitely Misfortune 3. Losing, 20 is really significant. So Misfortune, is not free. And then, people are worshipping a false pretender. We lose a scout to some stuff from Joman. So let's just take a look at what this patrol force is. Just a bunch of mundane samurai, as well as some Yari who might be part of the province defense. But yeah, no mages or anything, which makes sense. You don't want to be patrolling with mages, so that doesn't really tell us too much about what he's doing. Just that he does have, a decent amount of samurai. And then we have our patrolling, and I will catch you guys after the cut. All right. This is the situation and what we're doing about it. I guess first things first, we're going to go ahead and launch the attack against Pangea. This is a little on the early side. I'd hoped to wait until Marignon was in a bit of a better position so that, he could immediately exert pressure against Pangea's capital. But it's just taking too long, and then a couple of other things happen. So for starters, we can see Raga's flag has moved in, to some what was Archocephalian territory. So they're not going to take long. They're probably also going to go after this throne. And they're probably watching this siege situation. Basically, all the war gains we're hoping to pick up. It's looking like Raga is going to be trying to come in and take them sooner rather than later, which is not unexpected. So yeah, we just don't really have time. The other thing, of course, too, is I think there's a pretty good chance that this Pangea player just sits in this fort. I don't know. We'll see. But I guess I don't understand why you wouldn't also utilize the province defense, right? If they were planning on fighting, they had the option to fight all of their troops that they currently have stuck in that fort, as well as whatever province defense investment they made, and they chose not to. Now they do outnumber this Archocephalian army that's on here. So conceivably they could change their mind. On the other hand, it is a citadel, and they can basically drag the siege out for as long as they want, and I do feel like this player kind of prefers to turtle. So, we're going to try to encourage him to come on out. We're not going to attack Archocephaly just yet immediately, mostly for diplomatic reasons. If I don't have to fight his army, I would prefer not to. So, hopefully these two will fight, and then Archocephaly is going to have Raga problems. So, I will get in touch with him, probably soon. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I won't get in touch. But if I attack Pangea first, and then move in and take Abyssia, I don't think there's going to be any hard feelings. He had his shot at it and it didn't work out. And now I'm going after his enemy, as well as kind of clearing out some territory that he went for, but didn't really manage to ever fully lock down. And I think realistically, by the time we're finished with all of this stuff, there's a pretty good chance that Archocephaly's capital has already been taken by Raga. So at that point, we'll just have to decide, are we going to go in against Raga immediately? Do we want to go after Gath? Do we want to do something else? I don't know. We'll see. Pretty high hopes for most of these raids. The ones that are next to the capital are obviously a little more risky because there are a decent number of units in here and a lot of casters. Pangea doesn't have any particular reason to be suspecting an attack this turn, so I'm not expecting a large force to move out. Probably the most dangerous raid is the one happening in this province, because there's a chance that reinforcements are going to start moving out, right, to try to help out down here. But considering there's a giant, Pythian stack right here, or at least there was, probably doesn't want to empty out his capital, but who knows? Like I said, I probably wouldn't be making this attack if I had this situation going on already, but here we are. So yeah, that kind of covers, we've talked about our raiders, some of them are mages, most of them are wolf brothers. Our army is going to be on the border next turn. We are sneaking a few raiding parties to get ready. We probably will just attack into Archocephaly's territory next turn. So if I am going to talk to him, I should do it soon. And I think we're also trying to move up, at least a few of our mages that are Nature 2 that are going to be able to cast Foul Vapors, maybe actually just one of them. We don't actually have a ton of Nature 2s. Our magic access is pretty random, which I do not love. Most of the rest of these movements are just site searchers and, pushing up reinforcements. Again, not a ton of troop recruitment. We are recruiting some more siege strength because I do think we'll need some of that. Of course, our sacreds, and then, just a few more crossbowmen. Really need to get out of the crossbowman game. But like I said, I do think they'll still be useful for these wars, but I think after that, their usefulness will be more or less done. I actually don't think we have, we're missing mage recruitment as well, and I think part of that is because, we're starting a palisade here. So I've talked about these independent mages before. I think I might have made a mistake in not trying to utilize them as quickly as possible. In the past, I've had a tendency to just jump at every independent mage that was out there. Because, it's always fun to expand, your magic access and have different mages, but it is a lot of effort and oftentimes doesn't come with that much gain depending on what they offer. In this specific case, though, I think I may have been undervaluing even just a little bit of Earth, because I do feel that Earth is kind of the number one thing that Vaettiheim wants. So we're going to have to recruit a decent number of these witches to get, Earth. Now, we are going to get some Earth from the enchantresses, right? That's where we got this lady from. But anyway, more sources of Earth would probably be a good thing. So anyway, we're going to get this fort started. We might continue to blood hunt for a while on top of it. As long as the unrest stays below 100, we can still recruit, and it's not going to be the end of the world. And then speaking of blood hunting, we're probably going to try to get another blood hunting group up here, and we'll probably eventually throw a fort here as well. I don't know. There's definitely too many forts, right? We're already struggling to recruit, mages and troops out of all of our forts. But it just, having the steel ovens unforted on our border does, I don't know. This is a pretty secure border for now, so we'll definitely hold off for a while. I do think that probably going to build a temple down here. It's always a little bit aggressive to be building a temple right on your border. This fort already is a little on the aggressive side. We're really close to Satissa's capital, but we have there's so many thrones nearby. We're really having dominion problems. I don't think having a temple here is actually going to put too much pressure on Satissa's dominion. I don't know. They're also going to be pressured by this throne. But if we don't have a temple here, I think, we're not going to be able to get our Dominion into this fort, and I don't really like the idea of not having our Dominion in one of our forts. So we do have a fellow there preaching right now. I think we are moving down, some of our priests to try to preach away this Dominion. I was pretty convinced that Myrignon took death scales, but I think I was just wrong on that. So maybe they just had a bunch of death sites. I do remember seeing quite a bit of death along our border, but now it's pretty much all growth 1. So either they're, doing that blood spell that increases growth everywhere, or they're just, sitting on a decent number of death gem sites. So yeah, I think that covers the majority of what's going on. Otherwise, just trying to push around scouts. I don't think, we haven't really found anything too interesting, that we haven't already talked about before. And research, is the same, hasn't really changed. So yeah, I think that covers turn 32.